Yeah, that is.
I didn't see that coming because 4-year deals have been extremely rare in general the last couple of
Yeah,
winters, let alone for a 31-year-old catcher. And the White Sox, of all teams, to give out a 4-year deal that I don't mind it. Like I said,
yeah,
I'm a
and they've
massive fan of
also
Grandal, but
just given the long deal to Abreu as well. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
combination of both those things, it's like, yeah, I guess. Well, I guess maybe if Grandal in a couple of years could play first and Abreu could DH or something, but like
but then
that's two
that
spots in your lineup that are completely solid when they've got all these other young guys coming through.
well, what hurts with that as well, and this is one thing I was considering when I was writing something up about that situation the other day, was that sort of makes sense. But the trouble you've got is Eloy Jimenez may well turn into a DH.
Yeah,
You seem to have lacked. There's a chance, like you said, that seems like a natural progression. At least Grandal, his rest days maybe at first or at DH, but you've just then got this thing where the two main offensive positions are taken up by guys who could well be like deep
yeah,
into their mid 30s.
yeah. I think probably I reckon they probably had to give him that to get him
Yeah,
because there would have been a lot of interest in him because he's that good,
I'm
and
amazed he signed so
it's
early because
it's
he
almost
was one that hung around last year, wasn't he?
yeah. Well, maybe that's why he did go early. Like as soon as he started getting offers, he was like, "Let's get this over and done with." Um,
Yeah.
and also, yeah, I think it's all mainly a signing for like this year almost. Well, the next couple, but it's basically a statement, isn't it? I think they're hoping to actually be good this year finally. I
Well,
mean,
the
they keep
signs
getting
are
closer
very
to it,
good.
don't they? They keep getting closer.
They've got
Like,
Kopech back this year. Luis
yeah,
Robert's coming up. Nick Madrigal's not far away. Eloy Jimenez actually started hitting.
yeah,
Yoan
near the end of the
Moncada
year,
was
yeah,
playing like a legitimate superstar last
yeah,
season.
yeah. They
Um, and yeah, they've got Lucas Giolito who broke out in a massive way as well.
Yeah, and well, they've got guys like Rodon. I don't know when Rodon's back, but he was pitching really well for like the first 2 or 3 months of the season, I think, and then got an injury.
Yeah, you
Yeah, if
feel
he
like
comes
it's a
back,
matter of time, really, because just on having that weight of talent, just having so
yeah,
much talent in the organization from the rebuild, and then you add Grandal. I mean, having an elite framer with these young pitchers is an underrated
adds their
part of
Cuban
it as well.
core
Yeah,
as well. They've got like a pretty solid Cuban core now in that team.
yeah. Basically, yeah, signing Grandal is good. Surprised by the length of it. Do you have any more to say on Grandal?
Um, no, just that he's better than JT Realmuto, probably,
Yeah, that's
or
a given.
maybe,
Given
or maybe not.
given
He
that
might not be better, but he's like
he's close enough, it
for
does make a
the
difference, I think.
hype that you hear in general about both of them over the last couple of years. It's basically yeah they're almost neck and neck. I'd put them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, so moving on, I would like to talk about Marcelo Ozuna, as I mentioned earlier, because I think he's in a really interesting spot. He Another guy who turned down the qualifying offer. He had that big year where he broke out in 2017, got traded. He's been just about over league average offensively the last 2 seasons, and his outs above average are abysmal.
Yeah, he's become very suddenly a bad defender.
He's become basically a DH, and his offensive output is
It's
not of a DH.
it's quite bizarre, isn't it? That it's because he's like Gold Glove, wasn't he?
Yep, he won
Well,
the
he
Gold
won
Glove.
Gold Glove, but like for like the couple of years before that, I think he was almost like a defensive specialist. Well, not quite. I mean, he was still pretty good defensively, but he hadn't exactly broken out in a massive way offensively.
No,
Like the couple of years prior to that, but was like just a solid defender. Um, yeah, and now that's just fallen off a cliff completely. Which I mean, that is the reason why people stopped giving out long contracts, isn't it? And why
well,
there's
he was a
been
centre fielder. He was a centre fielder for.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like
Didn't realize just how much he played in centre field. He was actually
he's
like
he's the guy you'd
huge amount.
expect least for that to happen when he's like 29.
Yeah,
one of the guys you expect that to happen to least, and basically it it does happen. It just
I
comes out
didn't.
of nowhere where guys just suddenly are not good at fielding the ball anymore.
I didn't realize.
Um,
Well, he had some injuries, didn't he? I think that was part of
yeah,
it. I didn't realize he was a Boras client, which actually adds to what I was going to say about one. If I was him, I might have taken the qualifying offer, at least to make it so
yeah,
someone might, if you have a big offensive year, he suddenly is like at least a DH. Because right now I look at this and it's like, well, you add the Boras thing of he's going to wait, and I'm not sure what he's going to be waiting for. Because if I'm a National League team and I look at that defense, I'm not signing
you're
him.
not giving a long-term deal, are you?
No, I might go one genuinely.
And
Any
and
longer
you
than that
and
because
if
it's
he's getting a
scary.
one-year deal, he's probably not getting.
No, he's not
He's
getting.
not getting more. He's not getting much more. Anyway, it'd probably be
So
less.
Josh Donaldson got
Probably like
23 over 1
12,
last
15.
year. Donaldson got 23 over 1 last year, but these are
Yeah,
not comparable players. He's not going to get that. I think you'd be looking at like 15 and 1.
yeah.
If
Which
I'm
is
a National League team, that's as high as I'd feel comfortable with. And an American League team, maybe you could go to 2 or 3 because you feel like you could DH him, but he's not producing at a DH level, is he?
no.
You, if you
He's
were signing him like this guy might not be an
yeah.
outfielder in 6 months' time, what do you do with him?
For compared to where he was a couple of years ago when the Cardinals traded for him, it looked like he was going to be one of the really top free agents, potentially. But it's basically what his market is now, like the sort of player he now is really, like 17, 18 million, whatever it is, the qualifying off over 1 year. As I said earlier, that's a very good deal. He should have taken it
Well, I think yeah, he
and
should have
have the
taken it and
opportunity
thought if
to prove that you're worth like the big long term deal, because people don't give out the long term deals for guys that aren't like really just truly elite anymore.
yeah, either what he'd need to do in 2020 if he'd taken the qualifying offer was have an offensive year like he had at the Marlins, and then he suddenly is a DH candidate, and just people are like, well, you pay for that bat, don't you? You
Yeah,
pay for the bat, and then you figure it out later. Or he has to show he can defend still, and then he's a above league average hitter who's a solid corner defender, and you get
yeah,
the contract. You
which is
get 2 or
value.
3 years. Yeah, but at the moment, I'm actually a bit worried for what happens with him here, because particularly now I've found out he's Boras' client. He's just going to wait, isn't he? And I don't know what he's going to be
Yeah,
waiting
it's
for.
going to be like the Kimbrel situation maybe, or maybe not quite that extreme, but he might be. It's happened a few times in the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Particularly
well,
with
Keuchel
the
was the big one
qualifying
as
off
well.
stuff. Players that have most of them been players that have been offered qualifying offers. Kimbrel was under a qualifying offer, was he?
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's obviously like was it maybe it was only the second year of qualifying offers, the Mark Trumbo one, which I
yeah.
always remember. There's quite a few instances of this, and I think most of them were Boris clients. Boras.
Well,
I mean, he seems like he's just
yeah.
incredibly stubborn,
Let's
and he's just
let's
gonna
not go anywhere near Boris. Thanks. Yeah,
he's
well,
just gonna
Nicholas Castellanos, who I was about to use the comparison for Zuna, he doesn't have a qualifying offer. He has the same concerns about whether he can actually play the field, basically at all. But he is, over 4 years, he is a way, way better hitter than Azuna. He's not had the same high that Azuna had in his final year with the Marlins, but he's been comfortably over 800 OPS for 4 years, way above. Last 2 seasons, he's been way above league average. You look at those two and you think, well, they're similar players basically in this market, aren't they? Is like if you want the bat first outfielder, you go for one of them. One of them doesn't have a draft pick, and there's concerns about Castellanos' free agency because of his defense. So I just
yeah.
don't know where it's going to finish for
There's
Azuna, to be
there's
honest.
it's quite crowded in the corner outfield market, to be honest, and
With good, not great players as well.
yeah, it's like, but that is the level that, like we were saying, that's the level of players that's the ones that make the difference, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like it's not obvious which one you should go for. But one I'd like to talk about actually is Corey Dickerson, who I think is incredibly underrated.
Oh yeah, because
He
he's been
seems
playing for the Pirates, and no
he
one
seems to
cares
always
about
be
the Pirates.
underrated. Well, then he went to
Yeah.
Phillies, didn't he? And he wasn't. I don't. Was he not great for the Phillies or something? I know
Well, it
he
was
he
also
was pretty
it
good.
was as they were dying off, though, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
but he was really good for the Phillies. So he didn't play. I think he had injury problems last year, but he played 78 games, and had an OPS of 906. And for the 2 years before that, he's had an OPS of 800 each year. Gold Glove winner in 2018, like still a really good defender. Like, I don't understand why he never seems to. People never seem to get that excited about him. But like,
I think it's just a market
any
thing.
team that needs a corner outfielder, I think that would almost be my pick out of the available ones at the moment.
I
Because
think
as
it's
well,
just a market.
particularly if it's
I think it's just he was at Tampa and then he went to
yeah,
Pittsburgh.
yeah, that's probably it. But
I mean, if we tie it back to Ozuna, I think Ozuna may well end up going back to the Cardinals. Maybe not quite as embarrassingly as Trumbo did, but I think it could end up on a 1 year, I'm going to try and prove it thing. Dickerson, literally, it's a case of, isn't he just like, shouldn't everyone be in for him?
yeah, he's just.
I mean, pretty much
solid
everyone.
across the board. The thing I really
Yeah,
liked as well that we've talked about endlessly before is how he's basically, well, since he's actually been good. Well, actually, he's been good most of his career actually as a hitter. But 2017, 2018, he basically had just completely different sorts of seasons. Well, not completely, but they're quite different years.
yeah,
And basically just changed the sort of player he was, which I quite like. I mean, it shows he's like flexible. I mean, because all the I don't know, the mental stuff, which I think is massive for any sport, or in baseball as well. And obviously, we don't really know much about these guys. I think that shows something about that is that I don't know that he's adaptable as well. You know, he was. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't actually know why he changed the sort of player he is, but I guess it's worked for him. Because basically, people that don't know, so 2017 for the Rays, he hit 27 home runs, 152 strikeouts, OPS of 815. Then 2018, he had only 13 home runs, so like half as many. Also only 80 strikeouts, so almost half as many strikeouts. And batted 300 on the year and won a Gold Glove. So basically became like a contact hitting defender.
and his OPS was almost the same.
Yeah, his
That's the funny
OPS was
thing.
almost exactly the same.
His OPS plus was the same, but he just had a completely different profile. That just doesn't happen.
No.
That's what's so weird about that, is the number of hours I've spent trawling through people's lines. You never ever see someone who just, at some point in their career, decide, I'm not going to strike out anymore and I don't want to hit as many home runs. And he just stopped.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm going to strike out like pretty much half as much. Okay. I mean, it's phenomenal skill to be able to do that.
Yeah, last year he only played like half a year, but he seemed to have more power because he hit 12 home runs in half a season. And started low strikeouts and batted over 300 again.
He was ridiculous last year.
Yeah, in the half season he played.
I mean, he was on like 110 strikeout pace, give or take.
Yeah,
But like you say, batted over 300.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Also walked at a higher lick than he did in 2018.
Yeah, he's one of my my guys, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I'm always on the Corey Dickerson bandwagon, even though no one else is.
I don't know where he's going to end up. I mean, we'll try and avoid going down a rabbit hole with this, but I think the Giants are the sort of team that could end up going for him.
Yeah, like I'd love him at the Giants. Because he's actually a good defender as well, whereas most of the others on the list aren't. Well, you've got like Avisel Garcia as a good defender. I guess Puig sort of is, but Puig is just talking about the mental side of it, I suppose. You know, of the attitude and stuff, and that sort of thing. Is Corey Dickerson has basically been consistent and adaptable. And Puig is just like constantly up and down, and just sort of slightly, just a little bit insane, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're getting Puig, like you don't really know, from my opinion, whether you're going to get good Puig or